Okay, so tonight we are continuing with amazing teachings of Rebbe Nachman of Breslov, and we're learning the Sefer Sichot HaRan. Tonight we are up to Torah Pei, Torah 80, and we're talking about the power of friends. We're talking the power of society, the power of the people that we choose to surround ourselves with, and we're going to learn that this is relevant, and both negatively and positively. And most importantly, we're going to learn that the people that we choose to surround ourselves with actually make a difference to our essence. They actually make a difference to our core. And this is something that the Gemara tells us about. That there's a beautiful Gemara in Tainis Chav Gimel. The Gemara says Tainis a story about a tzaddik, a Tana by the name of Choni HaMa'agel. The name of Choni, that he was Ma'agel, means that he made a circle, that he makes circles. And the reason for this name of Choni HaMa'agel is because of a certain story that happened when the Jewish people needed rain. And so he made this amazing statement that he stood before Hashem and he made a circle and he said, Hashem, I'm not going to leave the circle until you bring rain. And Hashem brought rain and it worked, and that it was too much rain, and then he stopped. And anyway, but later in his life, so a very crazy thing happened. The Gemara records that he fell asleep for 70 years. Okay, this is the Rip Van Winkle was really, the Rip is really Rabbi Winkle, and it was Choni Ma'agel was the OG, and he fell asleep for 70 years. And when he woke up, so he was walking around, and he says, "Are there any children from Choni Ma'agel?" And they told him, no, he doesn't have any more children that are still alive, but he has a grandchild that's alive. So he met up with this grandchild of his, and he told him that I'm Choni Ma'agel, and his grandchild didn't believe him. He said, it can't be. Everybody knew that you would just disappear. Before I was born, people told me that you would disappear. That I don't believe you. I don't. And he was trying to tell me, it's me. And nobody bought the story that it's really him. And he went to the Beis Medrash, started speaking and learning, and he was the biggest Talmud Chacham in the place. And they were talking about different sugyas, and one of the older Talmud Chachamim said that, wow, things are so clear. When you say a svara, when you say an idea, it's so clear. It's like in the times of Choni Ma'agel. And he says, it's me. It's because of, yeah, you're right, because it's me. And he says, no, come on, who are you fooling? And nobody believed him. Nobody mamish believed him. And so then Choni Ma'agel, so he said his famous line, O chavruta o mituta, that either friendship or death. Meaning that it's that if I can't have friends, if nobody gets me, nobody accepts me, nobody embraces me for who I am, I'm going to feel like I'm living this imposter syndrome. Nobody sees me for who I am. So then I'm actually alone in life. I'm actually completely unconnected, and because I'm unconnected, so that's not called life. That's not called life. And if I can't have a true person who sees me for who I am, so then that's called death. And that's what this means. It's a very, very profound insight into the human experience, that the human experience on its own is not complete. That if I don't have a person who witnesses me, if I don't have a person who's able to see that I exist, observe me, and appreciate the fact, from the outside, that I am who I am, so then that's not called existing. So this is very relevant in many areas of life. The Gemara itself talks about it regarding healing. Which is in our time, so this is most relevant in therapy. That it says in the Gemara in Brachos Daf Hey that ein chovesh materes atzma beis hasur, that a person who's in jail cannot take himself out of jail. Okay? That you need a friend to get you out of jail. Okay? Whether that means he's going to bribe the warden, whether it means he's going to help you get out, whether it means he's going to hire a lawyer. When you're stuck, so then you're stuck. You need somebody else to get you out. And this is what it means. That sometimes a person can say that the biggest therapist that can help anybody in the world, but for himself he can't help himself. He needs that somebody else. He needs that outside voice to tell him the things that he knows what he would tell himself if he was coming to his office, but he can't tell it to himself. So that's really what it means. That a person that's living by himself, a person in solitude, so they are away from healing. and so this is really what the Gemara is saying. The Ochavus Amisusa is that my true ability to see myself and to be my truest self requires having other people around me. Okay, and it's a very profound insight into the human experience. Okay, so with that introduction, so let us begin what Rebbe Nachman teaches us. So he says in Perek Pei, in Perek Pei, we're going to be learning two paragraphs, two chapters tonight, and they're both related. They're both related to this chapter, to this topic of the people around us, our friends. B'nei Adam yeshtem koach libnaya ulahasis Adam lerachka me'avadas habare u'mitzadika emes yeser min yetzer hara. The human beings, they have the power to hold a person back and to cause a person to stray from serving Hashem, from living in an upstanding life, more than the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is pretty strong, but friends and society and your surroundings, they are even stronger than the Yetzer Hara. And he explains, because every element of the Yetzer Hara, so he has a particular place that he's from. He has a particular source of his energy, what he calls a certain world that he's from. But a human being, who klalios, shekala mikola olamot, that a person is from all the worlds. And therefore, they're able to hold a person back. They're able to bother a person more than the Yetzer Hara is able to do. So, to be honest, I'm not really sure what Rebbe Nachman means when he says that a person is the klaliyut ha'olamot. It could be, what he means is like Kabbalistically, we know there's different spiritual worlds. So there's something called Atzilus, Bria, Yitzir, Asya. And so the human soul, specifically the Jewish soul, comes from the Olam HaBria, which is the highest world under God, right? So obviously we're not God itself, but we're like the best thing after that. Afterwards is Yetzirah, which is the world of angels, and afterwards is the world of Asiyah, which is the physical world. So it could be what he's saying is that a human being, because our neshama comes from Bria, and we also have a human physical body, which is from Asiyah. So obviously we also have everything in between. And so therefore, that when a person is coming to talk to you, so he's coming with all of the spiritual reality. Okay, so what? So what I think he might be saying is that let's say sometimes you have a Yetzer Hara which is physical. Okay, that like what's a Yetzer Hara which is physical? That something is fun, something is pleasant, something is it's more convenient for me to eat this thing that probably or maybe is not kosher, and it's a certain. I'd rather just stay in bed. I'd rather just like. It's really hot. I'd rather turn on the air conditioner on Shabbos. There's something physical which is driving me to go against Hashem. And so, when the Yetzer Hara is physical, so then I have my whole spiritual being, which is going against that. Like it's true that like I have this dissonance. I have this tension from my physical desire to be pleasant and my physical and the physical Yetzer Hara and my physical Yetzer Tov, but like I'm not just a physical being. Like I stand like when you ask me like what are you? So like my physical existence is part of who I am, but it's not everything. I don't make all my decisions based on what my physical body is in the mood for. So because my core is more than physical, so my non-physical part of my psyche is not excited about the fact that my physical body wants the air conditioner to be on Shabbos. So like it's easier for me to overcome that, right? And similarly, so sometimes you have something which is intellectual. Sometimes you have an intellectual Yetzer Hara. Okay? You have somebody which is trying to convince you that something something doesn't matter, and like you're saying, oh, come on, do you really believe that? Do you really what's the chances that it's really true? And so then he says, okay, I hear what you're saying. It could be right. And he says, so come on, so eat the cheeseburger. So to eat the cheeseburger, why would I want to eat the cheeseburger? I haven't eaten a cheeseburger in 20 years. It doesn't excite me. I've already conditioned myself to think that the cheeseburger is gross. So my body is not aligned with this Yetzer Hara. It's only a intellectual Yetzer Hara. So my body is not affected by this Yetzer Hara. So a particular Yetzer Hara is sometimes either coming from an intellectual place, a spiritual place, or sometimes he's only coming from a physical place. But the rest of me is not there. So the rest of me can stand strong to fight the Yetzer Hara. Okay? Whereas when a human being is trying to get me, so he's like all of the above. So the human being, so he's at the same time giving me an intellectual reason to be with him. He's giving me an emotional reason to be with him. He's giving me a physical reason to be with him, and like it's all inclusive. So it's much easier to fall. Okay? So this is what I think perhaps Rebbe Nachman means when he says there's kontagious kol ha'olam. There's kontagious kol ha'olam, and that's why it's so dangerous. So now Rebbe Nachman continues, and he says something even more striking. And he says, this is what he says in Pei Aleph, in 81. B'nai Adam hemonim gedolim ma'od. People can be extremely strong, how do you say, miniot? Like things like obstacles. They're very, very big obstacles in my serving Hashem. V'da. You should know, if a person would be by himself, and other people wouldn't stop him, a person would still have lots of confusions, and a person would still have lots of things they're trying to get him away from Hashem. But at the end, he would most certainly make the right decisions. Because naturally his soul would come to the truth. Even if a person would sometimes do averis, you would have regret, and you would do tshuva. At the end of the day, you would come back to the truth. But when you have people who are confusing you, when the person connects to people, that either these people they're into philosophy, and they start telling you that like the reason why you're religious is because you're just naive and because you don't like to think, and if you would start thinking rationally, then you would realize that it's all a big bluff. Or lekas leitzim, that there's other people, he's going to speak about this soon, that there's people that they like to make fun, they like to belittle, they like to put holy things down. And he says that there's many groups like this today, that, like, I'm not sure exactly historically what he's speaking about, but there's people that they're religious, but they like to mock. They like to mock people who are a little bit more right-wing than they are, people that they like to call fanatic. So this is much worse. Okay, so he says that the person naturally would always come back to the truth. The people are naturally good. And if you would just be on your own, so even if you would fall, even though you would fall, and you would make mistakes, you would get confused, but naturally you would come back. Like they say that, like if you ever, like chas v'shalom, something happens, like if you're at the beach and like you get pulled in, so like they say not to fight, that if because naturally the current, at least it's true in the Mediterranean. I'm not sure if it's true in every ocean, but like naturally the current will bring you back, and if you fight, then you're just gonna lose your energy, and then once you can't stay afloat, then chas v'shalom. But like naturally a person will always come back, and the problem is the people around you. So they're the things that they're going to hold you back from, to stop you from coming back. So what does this mean? So this is something very, very deep. First of all, what does it mean? Why is Rebbe Nachman so convinced that the person is going to come back by himself? Because we are inherently good. Because we are inherently, our neshama is pure, our neshama is holy, and no mistake that we can possibly make can undo that, can undo the natural tendency of a Jewish soul to be close to Hashem. This is what they call in Chassidus the Pinteliyid, the spark of a Jew, that is something that is so deeply ingrained that it cannot be erased, it cannot be undone. And so we're just simply programmed to want to come back to Hashem. So what's the problem? The problem is the people around us. So what does that really mean? That the people around us have an ability to help us forget who we really are. And this is a crazy, crazy reality that our very sense of self is really shaped by the people around us. And this is something which is true psychologically, that in psychology they talk about how our first ability to look at ourselves as a being is shaped by our parents. Like, in fact, like at the beginning of our existence, so we don't really see ourselves as our own being, as our own entity. We see ourselves as a function of our parents. And like only at some point later in our development do we see that, oh, this is my mommy and this is me. Like we're not really the same. But at that moment when we disconnect ourselves from our mothers, so the thing that gives us our sense of self is the fact that we're not our mother. The way that our mother is something besides us. That this is where my mother stops and where I begin. But we still define ourselves based on our surroundings. And this is true. This is true on a much broader scale. There's a famous statement from the Rabbi. The Rabbi writes in Hilchos Deos in Perek Vav that it's derech ha'olam ha'briyasai, that it's simply the nature of mankind, it's the nature of the human race. Lias nimshach achar svivasai achar. A person is conditioned to be like the people around them, whether it's in the way that he speaks, whether it's in the way that he acts, whether it's in the way that he thinks, that we're simply, it's in our nature, it's human nature to be like the people around us. And so in psychology to say that what this really means is that our identity is relational. That which is something which is so counterintuitive, that everybody wants to think that I'm a strong person. I have my own beliefs. I know what I decide what I believe in. I decide what I stand for, and the Rambam is telling us that, and psychology is telling us that it's really not so simple. That we are constantly being affected. Our very sense of self is being affected by the people around us. And this is something that, the word that they use is that we co-regulate. We co-regulate based on the people around us, whether it's emotionally, whether it's behaviorally, whether it's spiritually, and this brings us to his next point. That when he talks about the way that the people around us have an effect, so there's different ways. There's different ways that the people that our surroundings have an effect. On the one hand, so it's very simple that the way that people act affects us. Like if you're in a place that it's just the social pressure is to do a certain thing, so then it's easy to do that. It's much easier to grow when there's a social pressure to grow. Okay, when a society decides that it's cool to keep kosher, so then it's easier to start keeping kosher than if you're in a society that it's not cool to keep kosher. It's simply so if that's simply what everybody's doing, if that's simply what the cool guys are doing, so then simply our behavior is going to be affected by the behavior of the people around us. Similarly, the way that people talk. If you're in a society that has a more refined way of speaking, so then you're naturally going to they call this mirroring. That we healthy people have a natural tendency to mirror the people that they're around. That even in silly things and the way of talking. I remember when I was in yeshiva, so I had a roommate from London, and certain things I subconsciously started saying them with a British accent. And it was I remember my other roommate was making fun of me. Really? Not necessarily. It's a subconscious thing. We're simply the way we speak. So it's if an accent can change subconsciously. So certainly, in terms of Baruch Hashem, in terms of expletives, in terms of simply the. And this is simply on a behavior level. Okay, this is not on any real level. So now Rebbe Nachman says like this: Ki ve'emes hakol echad, ki chachmas ve'litzana shalhem yimamish k'ma kfir shav filosofi. Now he goes down this rabbit hole of that there's two kinds of, apparently he has they're both pet peeves of his, that we've spoken many times about the fact that Rebbe Nachman literally hated philosophers, and he says in Sichot HaRan that Amalek was a philosopher, like Amalek. When we talk about Amalek, that is like the arch enemy of the Jewish people. That's the arch enemy of God. So he's saying that philosophers is the arch enemy of God, and so he understood that if you're into philosophy, that'll bring you to atheism, but now he brings another pet peeve of his, and that is that there's these people that are leitzanim, that like I saw somebody wanted to understand that he's talking about the early traces of the Reform movement, that of leitzanis, that he says garu yoser chachmas v'leitzanis shalem yoser me philosophia. So philosophy, so everybody runs away from philosophy. Like if you see a person who's completely off the derech, and he's he's a professional atheist, so then you're not gonna want to talk to him, because you say I know that's not what I want. But if you have a person that looks from, and just he says, oh come on, you really believe in that gebrach stuff? Come on, tell me with a straight face that you think that Hashem doesn't want you to eat corn because 500 years ago some stupid shipper put his corn next to the wheat, and okay, so I'm not eating chametz, okay, and so they come on, you don't really need to keep those stupid customs. If you're really a self-respecting Jew, you shouldn't do something so irrational like to keep gebracht or keep continuous, whatever. And so this is what he calls the kasaletzim. This is to mock Jewish behavior, to mock the behavior from Yidden. So he says that's actually more dangerous than atheism, because it's harder to because he looks from he learns Gemara all day, he davens nates, and he's keeping every chumrah, and he says, but this come on, right? And so it's much more dangerous. It's much more dangerous than the full blown apikaris. So everybody knows. And it sounds like he's talking about not only a person who's the full-blown atheist, talking about anybody who's going into the world of academia. And so, of course, nobody's going to go to any university, chas v'shalom, because that's going to bring you straight to hell. But just to be from with leitzanis, come on, you really believe in that stuff. That's so, because the people that do what they see him from, they always quote the Shulchan Aruch, and they always quote Gemaras that say that the tzaddikim are stupid in their crooked vision. Fortunate is the person that's able to go just simply into the truth. So this is the end of Pei Aleph. Now, Rebbe Nachman, so he's more afraid of people who have mockery than people that have atheism. And so why is that? So I was thinking that we're talking about how our very identity is relational. So what does this mean? So there's many levels of what it means that our identity is relational. Certainly it means, we're talking about before, about how we gain our identity from our parents. And so on a very basic level, so the most important job of parents is to give their children a sense of worth. When a person is growing up, if your parent is always telling you that you're a piece of garbage, or even not telling you with those openly, but they treat you like you're a piece of garbage, so you start believing it. And the way that we value ourselves is completely conditioned, completely placed upon us by our surroundings. So that's on a very basic level. But even more, equally powerful is that emotions are contagious. emotions are contagious, and this is like that. If a person is anxious, so then the anxiety spreads. And on the other hand, if a person is calm, so then the calm spreads. We have this is something subconscious. This is something that emotions are real. Emotions are real. Okay, I don't know if that needs to be proven. There's something that like we call these vibes. You know, there's a certain vibe of anxiety that he. Like, of course, like a person who's studying social behavior will be able to show you that there's a certain face gesture, there's a certain way that he's fidgeting, there's a certain, like, of course there are physical expressions of his anxiety, but that's not what's affecting you. What's affecting you, like there's no, I promise you, if a person who's not anxious is gonna start fidgeting, you're not gonna start fidgeting. The reason why you become anxious is not because of the physical expression of his anxiety, it's because of the real anxiety. Because there's a vibe of anxiety. There's an energy. There's an energy of anxiety. By the way, like that's really why we call it a vibe. Like vibe comes from the word vibration, right? Like when in our lingo, the way we call a vibe is simply it's this idea that a certain state of mind is not just in my mind, but rather it sends out vibrations. Okay, so this is precisely what whoever made up the term vibe. This is what they were trying to express, but it's absolutely true that an emotion is not simply a something inside of my brain; it's something that sends out vibrations to everyone around me. So if the people around me are calm, so that's going to it's going to affect me that I'm going to be calm. People around me are anxious; it's going to affect them. I'm going to be more anxious. If the people around me are more hopeful, so then it's going to help allow me to be more hopeful. And if a person is going to be more cynical about everything, more like not so excited about anything, so then that feeling of cynicism is going to affect me. So emotions are actually extremely contagious. So now it's true that thoughts, beliefs are also contagious, right? It's like that's also true. It's also true that beliefs are contagious. Like if I'm around people that just take a certain thing for granted, so like it's very possible that it's just gonna kick in at some point. Okay, it doesn't have to kick in. I remember, like I had a student that she loved Orthodox Judaism, and she just for the life of her could not believe in God. And so she became totally from, like the whole shebang. And I was sure that like she's like everything's good. And like I met with her 5 years later, and she said, no, still not really. Like so there are exceptions. But like naturally, like when everyone around us takes a certain thing for granted, so then it's natural that like it's just by osmosis, it just comes into us, and this is not just this is not just like things like God. This is like I think more importantly is that society has a whole belief system that is really constantly being absorbed by us. Or in other words, that that society answers a lot of questions, like without being asked. But society has very clear answers to a bunch of questions. For example, what is normal? Okay, anybody normal raise their hand. So that's a society. Good. So society has a certain set of norms that it's very clear. There's a very set of rules. What is considered normal? What is considered not normal? And like we're very aware of them. Like subconsciously, we're very aware of them, and we need to be considered normal by the people around us, by the society. The society will have a very clear idea of what is to be admired, what is to be shameful about, what is something that deserves attention, What is something important? There's a very beautiful quote from the author of Nevardik that he said that he doesn't judge a person based on if he does good or if he does bad. He judges a person based on what he considers good or what he considers bad. Meaning that more important than your behavior is just simply your belief system. And like, what do I look up to? A person could do everything bad, do everything good, but really he wishes that he could just escape it. He wishes that he could just get rid of this whole learning business. He's in a place that people admire, that society admires, the people that learn a lot of Torah. So he does it because he wants to be admired, because he wants to work his way up the social ladder, but really what he actually believes is something else entirely. So society has these very clear answers to what is to be admired, what is considered success, what is the opposite, and so they're really affecting our belief system, right? So now, between these two, that society is affecting our emotions, and society is affecting our thoughts and our beliefs. So they're both true, but Rebbe Nachman was acutely aware of the fact that emotions are more contagious than beliefs. Meaning that if you're a strong person, you could have your beliefs, and even though everybody around you doesn't believe in Judaism, but you're strong because you do, but to be strong against emotions, that's much, much harder. It's much, much harder. And that's what Rebbe Nachman is saying, that between these two groups, you have the groups of the Apikursim, the groups of the academics, the philosophers, and you have the other groups of the people that mock, the people that they're from, but they mock holiness. They mock when they hear about somebody, when they hear about somebody who's really close to Hashem. So they like to make fun of him. They like to find something to put down about him, and you can always find. There's nobody in the world. There's nobody in the world you can't find something to poke fun of, right? It's part of the job of being a comedian, right? So because they feel somehow, I don't know, endangered. They feel sometimes it's somehow like that. The fact that somebody is so holy makes me feel uncomfortable. So then they feel the need to mock him. They feel the need to put him down, and so the mocking is coming with an emotion. It's putting a person down. That's not intellectual. That's not a belief system. That's coming from an emotion, and because it's an emotion, it's more dangerous than a belief system. So that's why Rebbe Nachman was so scared about surrounding yourselves with people that their emotions, that their relationship isn't the appropriate. So it's even more dangerous than surrounding yourselves with apikursim. So what is Rebbe Nachman's actual takeaway from this? He's talking about negativity mostly. Most of the Torahs over here is talking about surrounding yourselves. If you're surrounded by negative friends, so it's going to have a negative effect. It's going to be more dangerous than Yetzer Hara. So what's the solution? So obviously the solution is that you need to get away from them, right? You need to change your friend circle. You need to change your society, right? And this is something that Chazal tell us. That there's a Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, in Perek Vav, Mishnah Tes. It talks about a Tana by the name of Rabbi Yosef ben Kisma. Yosef ben Kisma. So he was once walking in the street and he met this person. And he says, "Where are you from?" And he says, "I'm from a place full of Torah sages." And he says, Come to us. I'm not sure. It's not clear. Why the guy wanted him to come to him. He says, "Come to us, and I'll give you millions of dollars, millions of kesef v'zav." And Yosef ben Kisma says, "Even if you give me all of the silver and gold in the entire world, I refuse to live anywhere but a place of Torah." So I don't know. It's if obviously this person was not saying live with us and teach us Torah and help us grow. Obviously every rabbi wants to help people grow. So maybe he thought that it says by Yitzchak that when a tzaddik came to the city, so So just everybody just prospered because of the city. Maybe that's what he was thinking, that like, I want you to just sit in your room and learn, and we're gonna have success in the stock market because you're coming to our city. Something like that. So, but here's Bekisman was saying that nothing in the world is worth the damage that's going to happen to me by being around people that are not good for my soul. And this is something. So this is what Chazal are telling us. The Rebbe Nachman was saying that we need to be aware that if there's negative surroundings, negative society, so it's going to affect us negatively, and we need to be able to make that cut. So much so that the Rambam writes that in that same Rambam that says that a person is naturally affected by the people around him. So the Rambam says that that therefore you need to find a place that has a good way of looking at life, a good perspective, good belief system. And if you can't find it, everywhere we go, people are just off. So then he says, then you need to go to the desert. Just run away to the desert, because it's really because if everyone around you is going to mess with you, everyone around you is going to take you away from Hashem. So then it's better to live in solitude. What?
You end up in a festival.
This is something that I tell my students that the community that you decide to live in is the single most important decision you will ever make in your life. That, like, if a person is going to go back to where they grew up, where nobody cares about Judaism, and they're going to have 15 chavrusas. They'll be signed up on everything possible, and they're every 2 hours they're going to have another chavrusa learning Torah with. It's much better it's much more meaningful and productive and effective to have zero chavrusas, and not even have zero chavrusas, not even be learning Torah in the first place, but to be in a firm community where just simply that's what everybody does. It's going to have a better effect on your soul, subconsciously, consciously, than being in the community that doesn't, even if you're having these external chavrusas constantly, because your community it defines you. It's that your actual identity is being shaped by the people around you. So when a person is hearing this, and a person is saying, "Oh my gosh, but that's really true. All my friends, they're actually horrible influences on me. It's that is why I have these problems with coming close to Hashem, is because everybody around me, all of my friends, so they really mock it and they really think that it's stupid." So Rebbe Nachman is really encouraging us to break these ties, right? To find yourself a new group of friends, okay? And that's hard. It's hard to disconnect. It's hard to disconnect with people even when we know that these people are not good for us. And why is that? So lots of reasons. But first and foremost, we're scared of loneliness. We're scared of Chazal say, or Chavrusa Mizah say, it's like if I'm going to be alone, it's like being dead. And so if I get away from, if I burn all these bridges, so then I'm going to be alone, and I'm going to be missing this social interaction, and so I'm scared to lose that. And number two, so there's the people are going to start judging me. They're going to think that I'm better than them, and they're going to start calling me out. I'm like, hey, they're going to say I'm such a bad friend because I'm not coming to the wedding where they're marrying this non-Jew, they're calling me out for not being there for them, and they're accusing me of being arrogant and being better than them, and that, and so, which even it hits the hardest, because that's actually true, because you are better than them, and so that's actually why, you're brighter than you look, but it feels bad to make this severance, because who wants to be that friend that thinks that they're better than other people, and so what's the real solution? What's the real solution? So two things that need to be done simultaneously. So first of all, you absolutely need to find yourself a new social circle. That's why a person can't maybe like you should have some like overlap, some period of time that you have both social circles before you cut yourself off, before you cut your ties from the negative social circles, because it's absolutely true that if you're going to be alone, so then you're a goner, and a person needs to really understand that not every relationship was meant to be forever, and a person should realize that life is a journey, and there was a certain person that everybody that we met, everybody that we bump into, was there for a reason. And it's not a question of like how could it be that this was like, if Hashem put them into my life, then it must be that I'm supposed to stay friends with them. That no, maybe Hashem put them into your life because they're supposed to be in your life for this period of time. And like I've shared with you before, there's a metaphor that they say in recovery, that there was a person, the person that he came to, that he was lost in the forest, and he needed to cross this lake, and so he spent a week to put together a raft, and it was a lot of work, and then he was able to put together this raft, and he crossed the lake, and was able to get to the other side, and like then when he got to the other side, so he thought to himself, I worked so hard to make this raft, so it's a shame to leave it. So this heavy raft, he kept on carrying it around with him wherever he went, and so then at some point he met up with another human being, and he says, he says, what are you carrying with this? I said, this is my raft. Because like 2 months ago, I crossed this lake and I spent a couple of days to make this raft. And he says, you're so dumb. Like this is tiring you. That you're going at like a fraction of the speed that you could have been going. If you would have let go of this raft, you would be you'd be home already. And because you can't let go of this raft, so then that's why you're still stuck in the forest. So he said that this raft is addictions. That a person has a bad low in their life, and the only thing that allows them to survive during this low is that whatever that addiction is. And at that point, that addiction is amazing, because if it wouldn't have been for the addiction, then they would mamish be gone. And so they have an appreciation, and but because they say it was there for me when I needed it, so like I'm going to carry it with me, and then they don't realize that I'm already past there. Like I actually don't need this addiction to save me anymore, and not only that, but now it's actually slowing me down. It's actually burdening me. It's not allowing me to get where I need to get. So this is really true. This is not just true about addictions. This is true about relationships as well. That sometimes you have a relationship that was meant to be for a certain time, and like it's time passes, and now it's time to move on, and now it's time to let go of this relationship which is not really serving me anymore, and like to appreciate the good that I took from it, and to be able to move on to bigger and better things. And so this is what Rebbe Nachman is telling us, that the power of Chevra, the power of the people that we surround ourselves with. So I bless us all that we should be able to find awesome friends and awesome communities to what?
Get rid of our friends.
To first of all, to surround ourselves with positive friends, and to know that we need each other. To know that we cannot manage by ourselves, and our very sense of identity is dependent on the people around us. And this is really, we can connect this to Shavuos, which is coming up. That this is why that Vayichen Sham Neked Ahar, that the Jewish people, that before Kabbalah Torah, that it was Ki Ish Echad B'Lev Echad, that we needed to be aware of the fact that we're in this together, and to realize that we cannot function by ourselves. That we need our friends, we need our society, and for that reason specifically, so we need to be very careful of who are the people that we're surrounding ourselves with. Are these people that are building us? Are these people that are destroying us? Are these people that are making us feel more alive? Are these people that are making us feel the opposite? Are these people that are filling us with hope, filling us with worth, filling us with calm, or the opposite, chas v'shalom? Are these people that are talking in the way that we would like to talk, behaving in the way that we would like to behave? And the choice is ours. So, b'ezrat Hashem should send us all the most amazing friends, and this will bring us to our personal and national geula, b'ezrat Hashem.